All right, welcome to Creative Pursuits. I'm Casey Parlette. I'm a professional sculptor in wood, metal, and stone. And, the journey from going to making something from a passion to a career has been an interesting journey. I've always been interested in that. And that was kind of the impetus for starting this podcast and bringing people in. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Scott Wing from Leucadia Blade Co. And I really love, I've been seeing the stuff that you guys are putting out, and I know that you're working with your son in this, on this knife making journey. But I'll tell you, I love seeing the what you guys are making, the quality of the product. And I know firsthand, I mean, I got started in metalworking to make knives. And that's how I started on it. And I was, when I was young, I think I was maybe 13 or 14 years old. And my dad he'd made some knives, just for fun.
Oh, really? Okay.
And we're talking like big, like hunting knife, kind of like something Rambo would have probably,
Of course.
And I'd start off grinding them out and, off just off a bar stock and doing that.
Right.
And then I got into, there was a guy here in the canyon named David Brunetta who was a knife maker.
Okay.
And he did some incredible stuff with Damascus and all the blacksmithing, all that stuff.
Right.
And so on my days off from lifeguarding, I'd come in and work in his shop and do, just kind of help out with stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot about the blacksmithing, and then that sort of transitioned into some of the, I use a lot of that stuff in the sculptural stuff. I do knives every now and then, but I'll tell you, it is a hell of a lot of work to make a knife. I mean, it is so much work and so many steps to do it correctly.
Right.
And so I'm really excited to hear about you and what you guys are doing and kind of learn a little bit more about like the business of it and like how you got started. So how did you get started in knife making?
So, and by the way, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And same, I've admired your work for, I don't know, since I've been active on Instagram for 10 years or whatever, like around there. And we've communicated a little bit. And like, I think your stuff is just amazing and beautiful. And there's a lot of overlap, of course, between it's just metal and wood and like, it's really not
it's the
too
same,
much
a lot of
different.
similar materials and similar processes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess the story goes back, like I always I collected knives when I was younger, like, into my 20s and 30s, a little bit. I mean, I didn't have much money to do it, but like, I just really, like a lot of guys were into knives, and I tend to get like a little obsessed with things. That's where
as most artists do.
And that's where this business really did come from, obsession, right, in the end. So when my son Anthony turned 18, so this is 10 years ago, he's 28 now. And when he turned 18, I told my wife I want to buy him this really nice folding knife. It was a Chris Reeve Sabenza. If you know about knives, you might know what that is. And it was like $300, a lot of money for a knife. But it was his 18th birthday, so I gave it to him. He was really excited. Like he got like me, right? Where he's like, wow, this is really cool. And I think on like off to the side, he started researching knives and like. So one day he's just like, Dad, what if we tried to make a knife? I'm like, well, I'm a high school history teacher. Like,
and that's what you were doing
for
a career.
Yeah, my career has been, I spent 30 years until June. I just retired.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. It's great.
You made it.
I made it. Now they pay me not to go. And yeah, thank you, State of California and all that. Like it's, anyway, we'll get back to teaching. But I had no experience with working with my hands and with tools. And I'm like, geez, I mean, I don't know, we could give it a shot. Like, I don't know. But, around that same time, my kids were like, as kids were getting older, I had more time on my hands. And I think really I was looking for something to do with my hands. Like, I built a deck in my backyard. I decided then I was like going to detail all my cars and start a car detailing business or like something I needed, something to fill in that gap.
You had that entrepreneurial, like artistic hands drive. If you're turning a car detailing into a business.
Well, yeah, I mean, I did it. It was in my head.
Fun.
I never did it. Right. Yeah. But like, I think I needed something hands-on. So different from teaching where it's just very like just mental and like you're talking a lot, but like there's a hands-on work in teaching history or English, which was what I taught for 30 years. Yeah. So anyway, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't like, I'll check it out and see. Let's see. And I started looking on forums and on YouTube and just like I went down a deep rabbit hole.
The knife making world is a very
It
deep rabbit hole.
is,
There's
it
so many different
is.
alloys of steel.
Yeah.
There's so many different
Yeah.
um, opinions on all the different alloys of
Right.
metal. Like there's so many
There's
different
yeah.
ways of doing. I mean,
Mhm.
it's for something that we kind of take for granted that we use
Yeah.
almost every day.
Right. Right.
That's something that's been part of the human experience for as long as we've been human.
Mhm.
You know, there's a lot that goes into it,
There
and it
is.
really
There
is a
is.
special thing.
Yeah, and and deep down, like I just love to learn things.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I spent those years like so. Then Anthony went off to college and left me in my rabbit hole all alone.
Uh-huh.
And but he wasn't far. He was at UCSD. We live in Encinitas, so he wasn't far. But he was, he was living in the dorms. And so then I'm on my own. My wife was wondering why I was spending like Saturday and Sunday 8 hours in the garage, right? She's like, "What are you doing out there? Like, why is my garage getting all messy?" And I'm like, well, it's my garage too, right?
Yeah.
And so just started learning, like all the stuff we learn is like by trial and error and just spending the thousands of hours like on each step.
So you kind of did it on your own based on stuff that you'd see or whatever. Did you get like a belt grinder and like all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, just start
grinding them
small. Like, just
Yeah.
like the first belt grinder was like, $150. But then the next one was 3,000. I just like,
that's kind of how that works.
yeah, it goes like that, right?
Yeah.
But also when you start, like you make something just, we had I had no idea in my mind I was starting a business. I mean, that was like for several years at least. Like it was just for fun for us to learn it together. And then the sense of when you make this thing and it's pretty cool and you can use it and it looks cool and people like it, like you get all the good feelings from all these directions, right?
There's something really special about a handmade item, especially one that you made or somebody that you know made.
There is.
And I think that there's something about, again, with the things we interact with, all these different things every day. And a lot of the stuff that we interact with in our houses and our whatever, it's stuff that was made by who knows who or what, right? It's all made by a machine maybe, or made by whatever. And I think there's something to be said for, investing in having the things around you that mean something. And
absolutely.
And I again, as a kid growing up, my dad had made some knives when he was younger, and they were like these big Bowie knife kind of things,
but they're great.
But they were beautiful, and there's something like there's a certain magic that kind of comes off of that even as a little kid, like I could kind of feel that magic, and there's something special about that. And we live in such a, again, I've said this before, but we live in a throwaway society. And so having things that have meaning, that are useful, I think are really cool, and that are made by somebody that's a real person. You know?
And knives are so amazing because they are like, first of all, functional, right?
Yeah.
But then like you want them to look beautiful at the same time. And so there's not many things out there that have that combination. Like,
the form and function.
Yeah. Like there's cars, there's the watches, there's knives, like, but only a handful of things that are really like that. Yeah.
Did you start off making, like, what kind of knives were you making?
The first couple we made were just like little Skinner Hunter knives, because that's pretty much what everyone starts in. And you can heat treat it in a forge this big, in a brick forge, and hold it with tongs. And that was a lot of fun. But really where it took a turn was pretty immediately so Anthony and I were always in the water. Like we were diving or fishing or surfing. Yeah. And like that was just what we did. And then I was always the cook in our family. And then as my kids got into high school, and I want to talk about my daughter too, because she's helping with the business as well.
So this is like a family
business.
It
is now.
Yeah.
So they both took culinary programs in high school, and they love to cook, and like they outpaced me in their cooking skills pretty, like by the time they're 20 years old.
Yeah.
And so so then I'm like, well, I want to make a fillet knife because I'm going to go to Bay of LA to go fishing, and I want to bring my own knife with me. Like that was the coolest thing to me, right? I wasn't making it, like I didn't care about making it for anyone else at that point. And I want to make a kitchen knife. I want to make a chef knife because I'm going to catch that fish and fillet it, and then I'm going to use it to cook dinner. And like well, that was the ultimate to me. It was so cool. It was
Yeah.
so cool. Like I just had a lot of pride in what I made,
Yeah.
and we made. And so, he went off to college, but came back and was involved like the whole time. And so to some extent, but I was alone a while. So anyway, yeah. So to me, like, yeah, I can make a little hunting knife, but where we live, like not a lot of guys are. We're more underwater hunters here, right? Like
I mean,
more
just
than
by the environment,
above water and underwater,
there's
but
a
not
lot
a lot
more.
of
Yeah, I've kind of again, I think that it's something like going out and hunting in the hills
Yeah.
would be awesome.
Yeah.
But there's so many logistical hurdles to it
Right,
that, I mean,
right.
we're right by the ocean.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a wilderness out there, and you
It
never know
is.
what you're going to come
It
across.
is.
So to go
It's
spearfish or get
amazing.
lobsters
It's
or whatever,
amazing. Yeah.
that's what we have.
And so for us to make knives for fishing and knives for the kitchen, like to me that made the most sense because, and then I did have a business brain kicking in a little bit. I'm like, well, if I'm going to sell these things, like, I mean, everyone needs a kitchen knife, but like not that many people need to skin a deer.
Yeah.
So
it's a
like
smaller,
the ratio is going to be
yeah.
10,000 to 1 or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I
Like,
guess so. Yeah.
so every kitchen's going to have a chef knife, And so, yeah, that's kind of what like our philosophy began. And we were at that point, we were diving, we were free diving and spearfishing a lot. Like, and that was my favorite hobby of all time. Like we surfed and I was never a good surfer. He was decent, but like we like to dive together.
That's one of my favorite.
Yeah. Like my favorite thing I've ever done in my life,
I think it's great. Well, you know what I think is so cool is, again, I mean, my kids are younger than yours. I've got an 8-year-old. My son Brooks is 8, and my other son Co is 2. And I think it's really neat to see, again, I mean, you read the stats on this stuff or whatever, and there's like a finite amount of time when they're around, and then like from a lot of people, they're just gone.
Yes.
And there's it's really neat to hear from like you or like when I was talking with Julie Reif, I mean, that's kind of like they like Reif Spear Guns is Reif International it's a family business.
Right. I know.
And so, as opposed to a lot of people where your kids, they graduate from high school and it's like, they're gone.
Right.
And then you see them on holidays, whatever. I mean, you hear all these things. It'd be tragic. And then, I look at like, what the Reif family was able to do and, all working together. And obviously they say it's not all, and all rainbows and unicorns. People fight and there's all this stuff. But just that gift of time that you have. And it's kind of like a lot of things in life. Like in a lot of ways, sometimes it just takes a reason. Like you have to, you kind of need an excuse to do stuff.
I think especially like, and especially maybe for men or fathers and sons, because like, we don't talk as much as like, and so for me and my son with Anthony, we always had something together. And so like, whether it was like when he was young, we go camping on a regular basis, or then we learned to fish together. We learned to dive together. Like,
that's
so
awesome.
I learned a lot of things later in my life, which, I wish like I'm learning to spearfish and I'm 40 years old. And I'm like, I wish I had started when I was 18.
A lot of missed years you could have been out
and
there
I see my
doing
son dive and go punch a dive for 90 seconds before he's even warmed up and he hasn't dove in like 6 months. I'm like, dude, like, I can't, so,
I think it's great though. I mean, to have that stuff together.
So the knife business, or the knife hobby that became a business was for me in a way, another way to just like, I didn't think it consciously, but another thing to connect with my son to keep us. Yeah. So we had something in common, right?
I think it's awesome. And like I said, I mean, with my kids, my oldest son, Brooks, he loves working in the shop here, like building stuff. He's doing some blacksmithing, and then he's doing wood carving, and he's doing some stone carving, and he's doing, and he's into it. Like he's into it, And I go, hey, what do you want to do over your spring break or whatever? I just want to go work in the shop. Yeah. And I think that's really cool. And I think that those skills, that those aptitudes and those skills and that exposure, no matter what he ends up doing, it's problem solving. I mean, most of what I do as a sculptor, working in wood, metal, stone, it's problem solving for very specific, unique problems that I've created for myself.
Yes.
Right.
It's
And
knife
it's
making is identical.
And that's kind of what you're doing. And so really like what you learn working in these shops, doing all this stuff it's just you're learning problem solving.
Yeah.
And that's a skill that's valuable no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's really into it. Koa, my youngest, he's 2, but he's kind of into it. You know, he's got a short attention span, but he's into it, you know. And so I really, really like, I mean, it's neat to hear about people like yourself, like the Rife family, like, you know, that are kind of like cultivating like this family to get like something that keeps the family together in a positive way.
And you know what? It's just for us, it's continuing even more and more now.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, so what I hope you see is what I've seen. Like when your son who's 8, when he's 20, like he's going to be better than you.
That's the
goal. That's what you want, right?
Yeah.
Because my son is way better than me at knife making now. But I'm a little bit better businessman.
Yeah.
So like
we
complement each other so well. Like we're perfect.
So I guess the next thing I wanted to ask, I mean, because I've made some knives.
Yeah.
Like I hammer them out and forge them, and I make a lot of the chisels. Like I make a lot of the tools that I use.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And so I've made a lot of the carving tools and a lot of that stuff that I use, and it's cool. I love having stuff that I've made myself.
Yeah.
It is not. At least the way I've got it, the way I'm doing it, and I'm not really I'm set up to make knives, but I'm not like set up specifically to make knives.
Sure,
right?
Sure. Yeah.
I could not make a living off of the way that I make knives. Like I would lose money. I would lose a lot of money making knives.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious on like how, because making it for yourself, like as a hobby, as something fun, as having something cool is one thing, right?
Yeah.
But it's to scale it, to have it be something that you can make at scale and to produce enough volume is a completely different animal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So absolutely. I guess like I'm really curious like how you go, because so you've got, I mean, I'll paint a picture.
Yes.
Right? So
please.
You've out of interest, you've dove pretty deep in this knife making rabbit hole. You're doing it with your kids. Your son's doing it. Your daughter's involved in some of this stuff too. It sounds like, I mean, really cool. But like you're making these knives, you're taking them on fishing trips. You're using them every day. You're refining your techniques. You're getting better and better at doing it. Right. So there's all that you're getting repetition on it.
Yes.
And then you're like, and then you get to a point where you're like, hey, this is something that's pretty cool. Like I could maybe sell these. I'm sure people go, hey, these are cool. How much? Like, would you, right? I mean, it kind of starts
and the
organic.
first time someone says like, wow, I'm gonna get some of that money back. Like, it's pretty crazy.
I always found that pricing was a hard thing. It was very hard for me.
Casey, pricing is still still my hardest thing.
Because it's like you kind of, in a sense, you take, because you do it and it just comes from you. It's really easy to take it for granted that it's just like you don't necessarily inherently see the value in what it is, right? But that's what pricing is, and that's a very hard thing to do. And to make it sustainable, you have to charge enough for people to first off respect what they're purchasing, and then second, for it to be something that makes enough money to offset all the time and energy you're putting into this, and the materials cost, and all this stuff, which is high for all this stuff. So so you've people start hitting you up, you start doing it. At what point did you decide, hey, maybe I could do this for a business?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
So at what point were you kind of like, was that tipping point for that?
So I would say like the first 5 years. So the first 5 years, every single knife was like made from scratch, handmade. We probably made 1,000.
Yeah.
And we're selling them, like, gradually.
Are you cutting them out? Like you're
we were cutting them out on a
bandsaw?
Yeah, metal cutting bandsaw, just shaping them by hand.
That's a labor intensive
Either
process.
Heat treating in-house, but like really sending out for heat treating.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I'm a big fan of outsourcing things to shops that are great.
You have
to
be able to scale.
Yes, absolutely. So that's a big part of our recent story. So at the after 5 years or so, like at one point my waiting list was a year long. And like that's no good for anybody. I mean, it felt good to like that people wanted our knives.
It's kind of a weight on your it's like a homework assignment.
It's a psychological weight. And then it's not fair to your customers either. These people, and I hate to call them customers, they're like these are great people who want to spend money on the
Yeah.
product you made. Like
Yeah.
these are, you know, and like the community is the best thing that's ever happened. Anyway, we'll come back to that. So I wanted to, yes, it's about like, so then you learn like, okay, about scaling and go,
Yeah.
how am I going to do this? Right.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And then so you start researching, getting advice from other knife makers. So the biggest shift in our product was, so these, you know, it's called stock removal knife making. You take bars of steel, you cut them into shape, and then you get them heat treated, and then you stand at a grinder for about an hour to shape the flat bar into bevels, right? And you're grinding hardened steel. Then you hand sand it by hand, and like you're talking like several hours of work for each blade, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I'm doing
Yeah.
it.
And if you start off with forging, it's even longer.
And then you got to do that. Yeah.
But you still have to grind it in the end anyway, because you
Yeah.
can't forge it to the thinness you want it. And like,
No.
So then, you know, I learned about these big commercial grinders, these shops that will take on jobs to grind the blade for you, you know? So I'm like, well, all right, do I take this leap? Like, and then, you know, you get into this whole like idea in your mind, like, is it, if a machine grinds my blade, then is this still a handmade product, you know, like, and all that. But at the end, I didn't care. Like, what I thought was, okay, so I'm making a handmade fillet knife. It was $500. Like that was the cost. If I can outsource the blade to this shop, it's in the United States. Like this is, you know, and I know the guy who runs the shop. I've been there. It's in Washington. If he grinds it in his $600,000 grinding machine, but we finish it, I can bring the price down to $200.
Yeah.
Like, okay, go ask one of your fishing friends, do you want this knife for $200 or do you want for $500? But the guy like hand sanded it by hand. And most guys are going to want the $200 knife. Like 90% of the people. Well, no, there's still the people who want it like that you made, you know, no machine touched it. Sure. But that's not the direction we ended up taking. So, So then you go down, like you get CNC machines involved. And so we ended up, like, most of our blades now are machine ground versus the hand grinding. But I think, like, I don't think you can make them as well unless you've made 1,000 by hand. And so you know exactly how, like, we're talking about, like, you know, like 1,000 7-inch on the edge and here and there. You have to know, like, how it's going to perform.
I think especially when you're doing repetition pieces, you can get buried in the minutia of production.
You can.
And so, like the butterflies you got behind you there, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, those are made out of titanium. They're all polished. Like we polish them. We do all the, there's a whole process in it. The colors are all done with heat. There's all stuff. But, you know, I mean, people aren't going to want to buy $1,000 butterfly. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, a couple people will, but most people won't.
I take it back. People will, but the goal is for it to tell a story and to create something that kind of create a feeling and a story and whatever. So, you know, I mean, the butterflies are the pattern of the butterflies. You know, it's laser cut. Like I used to cut everything out with the bandsaws and do all this stuff. And it actually wastes a lot of material. It's not as good of a cut, and it's not so. You kind of need to embrace some of the technologies that are available so that you don't get completely bogged down in the minutia of some of these things. And so you can
and also, like, sorry to interrupt, but if you've never run a CNC machine, like if you say that the machine just cranks it out, that's just incorrect, because those machines are not easy to operate, and to get a final product out of certain machines is almost an art in itself.
With the knife blades and stuff.
I mean, so, you know, like, it's not just push a button and boom, it comes out.
No, well, and there's still a ton of finish work and all that stuff.
And so tons of finish work.
But I mean, I think that it's good. I mean, again, to your point, you're not bogged down in the grunt labor grinding. You're putting your energy in the stuff that only you can bring to this project. Which is the aesthetics, which is the finish, which is the overall, you know, and all that kind of stuff, and making sure that all that stuff. I mean, I think it kind of frees you up to actually produce a better product.
Absolutely.
Because you can take yourself out of the coal mine aspect of it
Yeah,
in a sense, right?
I mean, standing behind a metal cutting bandsaw for an hour is like
It's just and then
like
also
not really
the
a good use of
consistency
anyone's time.
of the cutout with a metal cutting bandsaw is
Mhm.
not as good as what you get with those laser cutters.
No,
And so with a laser cutter, you can really refine down your design. That's
You
your
can.
specific design.
Yeah.
And then that can be produced. So I really think that embracing some of the technologies that are
Mhm.
available
Yeah.
while still keeping the soul of what it is that you're trying to do
Mhm.
to get to that end product of what's the story that you want to tell with this,
Yeah,
and what is the goal of what you
Absolutely.
want it to do.
Yeah.
You know, and
Exactly.
so, again, like with the butterflies, I mean, having those laser cut out versus me, you know, cutting each one out. I made a die to be able to kind of get the
Mhm.
texture in there. Like as opposed to hand hammering in the texture to be able
Yeah,
to do that. It does, designing the equipment and building the machinery to be able to do that has allowed me to be able to produce way more of the
Mhm.
butterflies and to produce really
Yeah.
a better quality
Yeah,
butterfly. If I was
absolutely.
doing one, I would do it. I would just cut it out by the bandsaw, and I
Mhm.
would hammer in the veins and the wings, and it'd be done.
Yeah.
But that's one. But
Yeah.
if you're doing 1,000 of them,
Right.
and you want the quality to be consistent and be good, like I really came to the conclusion, like I had to figure out better ways of doing it. And
Yeah.
so I really think that that's what you have to do to be able to scale this stuff and to be able to produce for an audience, a quantity
Absolutely.
for an audience.
No, it is true.
So
It
let's
is
take a
true.
look at some of these knives. I mean, I just think I love the different materials you use and the different. How do you select out like your blade material
Mhm.
and your handle material? I mean, obviously they all have different aesthetics and different things.
Right. Right.
I mean, if you want to pull one of these up and hold it in front of the camera
Yeah.
so people can see it for
Absolutely.
the people that are
Why
watching
don't we
this
I mean,
on
we'll
YouTube.
start with like the wood, right? Like this is just amazing Hawaiian koa wood, and like this is our favorite
Yeah,
thing to
that's
look at.
may
Like,
I?
yeah, of course, absolutely.
Wow. So that's and this is your cleaver style knife. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a bitchin' knife. Yeah, that curly koa. There's not too much that's prettier than that.
There really isn't. Like we've
Yeah.
used I mean, in 10 years we've used almost everything I can think of.
Yeah,
and,
I like the
it's just
spacers. I mean, that's just
gorgeous.
got a beautiful aesthetic.
Yeah.
And then
Thank you.
I mean, you have a whole line of different
Right.
knives for all sorts of different
We
purposes.
do. And then we have two kind of different. So we call it the custom collection and the
Yeah.
core collection. So what I was talking about before is like this is the same knife, but with this is handled as off a CNC machine.
Yep.
Right. So this one's gonna bring the cost way down.
Yep.
Whereas this is the same knife, but this is a handmade handle.
Yep.
Out
Out of a natural material.
of a
all
natural
that,
material. This is a handmade handle using different micarta, laminate materials. It's really popular. So we do both
That's
lines,
beautiful.
and the prices are different.
Yeah. Very cool. What's some of your best selling pieces? Is it mostly like is it the fillet knives, the cutlery? Like what
Our
tends
chef
to be
knife is the number one, and
Number
the
one.
fillet knife's number two.
Yeah.
Those two, they're just kind of like, you got your home. We really focus on home cooks, although we have like quite a few professional chefs using them, and then the fishermen. We make a good fillet knife.
Yeah.
Like I really do. I say this at shows when I talk to people, and I don't want to sound like a jerk, but it's the best fillet knife out there, I believe. Just we're small, we don't have like a big presence. Not a lot of people have heard of us, but when you go shopping for a fillet knife, you have a couple you don't have that many choices actually. You can get the ones that are
go
like
to a tackle
they're
shop or whatever.
$40 to $80
Yeah.
or maybe $100 now. I don't know if the Dexters are or the Bubba's or whatever.
Yeah.
And then after that, there's not really much out there.
Yeah.
And so ours are double, triple that price, but like the quality is just a lot better than those blades.
Yeah.
And so we have a little cult following or whatever with the fishermen in Southern
That's
California.
awesome. Yeah. Well, I think it's a beautiful product. So let's get back to so you've got this, you're able to scale it.
Yeah.
You're doing it, you're getting out there. How have you found, because it's finding an audience nowadays, it's such a moving target.
It is.
Like you going to, there's shows that people can go to, there's whatever. I mean, there's a lot of different things. Like in the art world, which again, I mean, there's a lot of cross over with what you're
Sure.
doing, what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
You know, in the art world, I mean, it's been a moving target for a long time now. Like we're really like, I don't sell anything hardly through galleries. Like I'm doing
Okay.
everything. It's
Okay.
all direct sales. Most of
Right.
what I do is commissioned work now. And that's partly just the nature of what I do with everything being a one-off. You know, a lot of it being very specific. Like, you know, people have specific locations or cities or restaurants or whatever. And there ends up being a decent amount of that one-off kind of fact. You know, everything's a one-off, but most of it's commission. But man, it's such a moving target. Like finding that audience and getting it out there. With you, you know, you've got a very high end product. It's really good. Like it's got a cult following. How have you found to be the most effective ways of getting it out there for people to find?
I wake up every morning trying to figure that.
That's the big question.
I actually do. Like,
really?
Yeah, I'm still obsessed with this, and like every morning, I'm like,
yeah.
okay, how am I gonna get some knives out there? Like, so the beginning, I mean, really, Instagram. Like, I don't think I'd exist without Instagram.
Yeah,
and that's how like we found each other. Of course.
Yeah.
And
I fought Instagram for a long time. I fought like social media because it is kind of, it's like. It's kind of like fire, right? Like it can be useful. It can warm you, whatever.
Yeah.
You could kind of end up getting burnt. Like it can burn you too.
Oh, it's a love-hate relationship.
And I fought it for a long time. Like, this is like a waste of time. Like it's just because it's a rabbit hole. Yeah. And you know, I can kind of fall down that rabbit hole of just scrolling through whatever.
Absolutely. So
I fought it for a long time. I'm like, whatever. And I really didn't do much. And my wife, thankfully, basically pulled me aside and said, hey, you're an idiot for doing this. Because what you have is it's visually interesting. It's the backstory is interesting. People want to know what goes into this stuff and how it's done and how it's built and all that stuff. And I kind of, you know, I'm like, you know what, like it's, you know, she's right. And so ultimately kind of embracing it and just going, hey, this is what it is, and telling an authentic story. Then kind of showing what you're doing. I mean, in a way, you kind of are educating your audience of people.
You are
on why this has value. Because again, like for a person that doesn't know any better, they go and they see that the cheap knife and your knife, and they go, well, it's both knives. Like,
and why is yours $200?
Like, I'm just getting,
why
I'm going to save myself $100 or $200 or whatever it is, right? I think it's really. I think right now we're in a world right now where you can educate an audience and really kind of take charge of your own destiny in a sense with this stuff.
Yeah,
and I think that's where, like, I think it's really interesting, like seeing what you're doing, and I think Instagram and all that stuff's kind of it's like a movie trailer in a sense, right? So it's all short clips, and you're like, oh man, I really want to see more about that movie. Whereas, you know, like this or like coming down to meet you or whatever is like. More of like seeing the actual movie, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, finding your audience, like, what have you found to be some of the more effective ways of marketing it and getting it out there?
Yeah, so Instagram was great for, you know, 2016, 17, 18. Like, we'd make a custom knife, and I'd put it up for sale, and if it didn't sell in 20 minutes.
Did you do drops?
Yeah, I mean, we were making them one at a time. So I'd put like literally one knife and go, this one's available. Yeah. And back then, like if it didn't sell in 20 minutes, I was really upset because like it was good. Like, you know, and I had a waiting list, like I was saying. And
how did you, so you kind of just would go, hey, I'm working on this. Hey, this is available.
I mean, I had a personal Instagram at first, and I put a few knives on, and I got a good response. So I started the knife Instagram, and back then we were called Leucadia Custom Knives. I did change the name to Leucadia Blade Co. I wanted to be really honest about, like, if you say you're custom knives, a lot of people expect every part to be handmade. And so I don't want to mislead anyone. So we did a little name change 2 years ago. So on Instagram, and then, you know, I would get commissions off of Instagram. I would like almost daily get a request for a certain knife. And so that's how the weight that my list built up. But then then it started shifting into when I went into more production methods of using machines, we had more knives. So then it's like, okay, how do I sell more knives? Not how do I, like, you know, keep up with my waiting list? It just changed. Like everything changes, right? We did not do I think our first show we ever did, like a live show, was 7 years after we started. Like never, because we
Yeah.
didn't have to at first.
It
Plus,
just
I'm
it
working full
grew.
time.
Yeah.
Like I'm teaching full time too. So I'm coming home, as you know, like I think you have the same experience. I was coming home from teaching and on weekends and standing in front of the grinder, and I was exhausted, like,
Doing 2 jobs at once. I mean,
and
and
I did that for 10 years basically
yeah, I
until
did
this
too.
June.
I
And
did
I
too.
was, it's tiring. But
Well,
like
it's
the love of it keeps
it's
you
a
going.
juggling act.
It
It's a
is.
juggling act, and if you're working 80 hours a week,
Yeah.
a lot of stuff falls through the cracks,
It does.
right? And
It
so you have
does.
to say no to a lot of things.
Yeah.
And really for me, doing that, because I was a full-time lifeguard
Yeah.
and working a full schedule of that, and then the
Mhm.
art stuff had grown into a 40-hour week,
Right.
at least, kind of day off, night job, whatever.
Yeah.
So all my I take vacation time or holiday or whatever
Mhm.
from lifeguard, like I'm basically doing that to like go to work at my
Oh,
day off job.
oh yeah. I use most of my sick days in teaching.
Yeah,
to
so
work
there's
in the
no
shop.
there's no
Yeah.
days off really.
No,
and
no.
so yeah, it's a tough one. I think that there's a different mindset. Like my mindset changed when before was basically it was almost like I felt like I was just filling orders in a sense, because like
Mhm.
I'd make stuff for the Festival of the Arts,
Right.
and then people buy that, and then I get commissions, and then I'd have to fulfill those commissions throughout the year, and it's
Mhm.
like, but there wasn't like I'm so
Mhm.
I felt like I was kind of filling orders, so it wasn't really able to like chart a course
Right.
in a direction.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
just
you're
kind of
making up day
I'm
by
kind of
day.
bailing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm making it right.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, again, I mean, the final push for me to go and do the art stuff full time was, I mean, it had gotten to a point where it needed my full time attention, probably years before I actually jumped
Yeah.
into it full time.
Yeah.
The final push was, I mean, Brooks came along, and the first year of his life, I mean, I'm working 80 hours a week. Like I didn't see him that much. Like he was asleep when I'd leave to go to work,
Yeah.
and then he's asleep at night when I'd come
Yeah.
home, and that was most of the time, and that was
Right.
that's not the kind of dad that I wanted to
Yeah,
be.
of course,
And I,
of course.
there's stuff I wanted to do with him,
Mhm.
and things that it just wasn't how I wanted to do it. So
Yeah.
that was the final bit
Yeah.
for me to,
Yeah.
get off that government feeding trough,
Mhm.
job with all the
Yeah.
security in the world, and go into
Yeah.
the least secure line of work that
Yeah.
you could possibly
Terrible
go into.
idea.
Yeah, and everybody's like, "Oh, what an idiot," But again, it was great. Like I have no regrets at all on it. It's been great, but it's definitely scaling these things and then getting to the point where you can actually kind of chart a course,
Right.
and
It's
then start
amazing
working
how
towards long-term goals.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's where you're at on
Yeah,
this.
so we started 2 years ago. We started doing some shows, and like it seems so.
Which shows?
So we've done Pacific Coast Sport Fishing show up here in Costa Mesa, and we've done that the last 2 years, and that's an incredible show. Like
I did the Fred Hall show one year.
Yeah,
That was fun.
it's
Is that
like-
similar to
yeah,
that?
It's similar to
Okay.
that. Just this show has just exploded in the last few years.
Yeah.
And we've been really lucky. We've been in a great location in the show because we got taken in by Salty Crew. And so like there's this little group of businesses with them, and like
Oh,
we're
cool.
right by
So
the
it's kinda
front
under
door of
in
the
that
first
sort of-
building.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very fortunate. We've had a lot of fortunate things happen over the years like that.
Yeah.
But so the shows, like, so fast forward to the present, like now my son and daughter love doing the shows. Like, I'm like, they're like, you don't even have to pay me. I'm like, well, I'm going to pay. Like, I'll give you $10. No.
Yeah.
No, but we have such fun together.
Yeah.
Like the first time we did the PCS show, this 4 days that we're working. Those are like, we're driving to Costa Mesa and back
dude, those
after
are
the
long
show,
days doing those shows.
and we're talking like those are 15-hour days on your
Yeah.
feet on concrete, talking to 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, like I think on New Year's, we're like, okay, what was the best part of your whole year? My kids said that show was their best part of their whole year. I'm like, I love you guys. You taught your children something, like the hardest they work all year was their favorite part, right?
That's awesome.
I mean,
That's awesome.
it made my heart warm
No,
inside
that's
because
really cool.
as you get older, that the only, the best stuff comes from working your ass off, not from just being given something or like being lucky, but like
there's something
grinding,
fulfilling.
grinding.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think, well, it kind of comes down to that pursuit, right? I mean, it's like, I think a lot of people, you know, you talk to people, go, oh, what do you want? You know, what do you want? What do you want for whatever? It's like, oh, I
Yeah.
just want to be happy, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's a nice thought, but really, like, if you choose happiness in every situation,
Yeah.
you know, I
That's
think, I
good.
mean, it's like that's a direction that, you know, I mean, most of the things that are hard, you know,
Uh,
most of the things that are fulfilling, I mean, I think it's more, I think you're better off choosing some, like, going towards being something that's fulfilling, and the
100%.
fulfilling stuff is not always make you happy. I mean, I'll
No.
tell you, like, this is very fulfilling. Like, doing the sculpture work is
Yeah,
fulfilling.
yeah.
You know, when I was working 80 hours a week, like,
Yeah.
it was not pure happiness. We'll put it that way. You know, I mean, even
No,
with like
no.
kids, family, I mean, all that stuff, like, it's very fulfilling.
Yeah.
There's definitely times where, you know, you're not like,
Yeah, yeah,
it's not your
yeah.
happiest choice of whatever.
Yeah.
Like, there are things that are really happy, but there's
Yeah.
definitely things where you're like, man, like, this is hard, you know?
Oh, I know.
But
And then
I
like I
think,
don't know about you, but like I got injuries. Like because I was standing all day as a teacher on
yeah,
basically a concrete floor and
yeah,
then going home and standing at a grinder for 2 or 3 more hours, and I got like foot injury, neck. I got
yeah,
and I'm in my late 50s now. So I'm
yeah,
like 50 years old doing that. I'm not a young guy.
yeah. It's
And
hard. Yeah.
and that's partly why I got some machines involved, because like I just couldn't
Yeah.
keep up
Well, and
physically
that's why
with
I
it.
think it's
But
so cool for them, like, to have
yeah,
chosen something
but
that made them, where they're looking at something that's fulfilling as
yeah,
being something that was really something
yeah,
that the fulfillment made them happy.
yeah. And so the
And that's
shows are
cool.
great, because what you get at the show is like, oh, I bought one of your knives 5 years ago and I love it. I cook dinner with it every night. Or I saw your post on Instagram, and that's where you go from hating Instagram to loving it, because
Yeah.
like, wow, I forget how many people
There's a
are
lot of,
really,
yeah.
they are interested in what you're doing,
Yeah.
and they're fascinated and they want to know. And
Well, and
like,
it's interesting, you
and
know,
that's
and you're obviously, you are just talking with you. You're
yeah.
passionate. You love what you're doing.
Yeah, oh,
You're enjoying
absolutely.
it. You're waking up thinking about it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you're into it,
yeah,
and you've
yeah.
created this life for yourself.
No, I
And
gotta tell you, just a little disclaimer.
yeah,
I've never had to make a living at making knives. Like,
but it's a
but
job. It's your job
it's
now.
my job now,
Yeah,
and I'm not, if I don't sell any, I'm gonna be okay, and I'm not gonna,
yeah,
go
yeah.
hungry.
But it's
Yeah,
working.
but it did keep the pressure off for me to be more creative and have
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah,
And like I feel really lucky. Like
I
I
think it's
feel
great.
really fortunate, Casey, that like I didn't have to ever like really pay a bill with knife making, other than the knife bills, right?
Sure,
But like I
sure.
didn't have to like to pay our rent or
Well, but
whatever.
it's
But
still,
like
like, you've got a
so
business that you're doing, that you're bringing the
yes,
family
yeah,
in,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's
Well, and
doing
having
well.
said that, now, yeah, I retired from teaching in June. So
Hmm.
I've been, what, 3-4 months now. And
Yeah.
so now I am full time doing this in between traveling with my wife.
Hmm.
But my son, this is his only job, and he's full time and he's on a salary. So like we do have
Yeah,
to.
it's got to
So
work. It's
yeah,
got
it's
to work.
gotta work now.
Yeah,
And then like you see how that can really snowball. And like if you have, then all of a sudden you have 5 employees or 10 or 50, and
you
like
got to do it
you
all.
gotta,
No,
like,
and
it's
then
a
you
lot
have,
of, it's
there's that monthly
pressure, right?
nut that you got to do,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and
definitely.
it's, for some people, that's kind of a crippling thing,
Yeah,
but it also, like,
that keeps me going.
having to do it,
Yeah.
it creates, you're forced to create opportunities for growth,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's a cool thing.
Yeah.
So, and I think
Yeah.
that's partly, I mean, people see what you're doing, and they see you can tell that you're into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people are doing stuff that they're not into, and I think that people like to see it. It's
Yeah.
inspiring.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, I
Yeah.
think it's awesome.
I just again feel so fortunate to have like the response we've had, and just to have the repeat customers, and just all of it. Yeah.
I think it's awesome. Like I said, I love seeing what you're doing, and the community that
Mm-hmm.
you've created
Mm-hmm.
with the beautiful work that you're doing, and
Mm-hmm.
also to be able to create that catalyst for keeping the family together and have a reason for everybody to,
Yeah,
hang
yeah,
out
yeah.
and do stuff.
So here's
And
the picture of our house these days. So my wife and I are both now retired. We're thinking, oh, we're gonna just have this time like back before we had kids, right? We're
yeah,
gonna be together, just hang out. Like, so now our daughter is 25 and moved back in with us last year. So she's living and working from home and then helping me in the business. And then our son doesn't live with us. His bedroom is now my office for the
yeah,
business. And he commutes to our house, to the garage, because our shop's in the garage.
yeah.
And so he's working full time so we're all 4 together
I
every
think
single
it's
day.
great.
And it's
I
like,
think
I love it. It's
that's
so
the
fun.
dream.
It's
Yeah.
not ever what I pictured. It's nothing I ever, you never know what path is going to
I don't think that any of this stuff
come
you
up
can really
ahead of
chart
you.
like a reliable path. I
You
think you just
can.
have to be flexible on it. But dude, I think it's awesome. And I'm so stoked you
Yeah.
came out today. And I'm
Yeah,
really
yeah,
glad that
yeah.
we got to talk on this. And it's so neat learning more about what you're doing. And like I said, seeing what you're doing. So thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you, Casey, so
No,
much for
this has
having
been
me, man.
awesome. It's so fun. And
yeah.
I just, I really love having these conversations. And for people out there that are listening to it, check out Leucadia Blade Company on Instagram and other
website, yeah.
Instagram
A few
website.
shops here and there.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll promote some of that.
Check it out and take a look at the beautiful work that you guys are doing. It's really cool. And then, for people that like this conversation and enjoy the podcast, share it with your friends. If you press like and subscribe on this stuff, it really helps to kind of get it out there to a wider audience. Cause I do think it's really cool for people to be able to hear these stories and hear about what you're doing and be able to enjoy that. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Casey.